Yeah, my name is Alan Clark. For a lot of you guys that know me, a lot of you may not, but I am a commercial photographer in Nashville and have gone through, I guess a career of just shooting mostly album packages. And, it's funny because, being from Nashville, you'd think I would have shot country music a lot, but I actually absolutely refused it. Everybody that's a local that's from here is just like, oh, please, please don't make me do it. And so I kind of didn't really want to shoot country music. So I kind of went with pop and rap and all this type of stuff. And I kind of did everything outside of Nashville as much as I possibly could, because it's something, if you grow up in the South, you hate the heat. And if you grow up in the North, you hate the cold, it's kind of like that. Just, you don't really relate to how you grew up or whatever. And so I just kind of did that. Was pretty much how I made my whole career, was just shooting music and advertising and things like that. And so my thing has always just kind of been lighting. I've always kind of focused on lighting, and you can see my little crazy setup right here is even about lighting, for this too. And so, and I can show you guys a little bit of I'll share my screen, my career as a commercial photographer. I'll just go through it a little bit because I'm really more interested in showing you where I'm going, not where I've been. But just for, lighting itself, you can kind of check and see like what I'm used to, what is normal for me. I'm trying to find, might help if I put my glasses on. I'm just going to do this in photos and slideshow and stuff like that. I'm not going to get too complicated with it. But everything from sports to, let me go back to share screen. There we go. Sorry, my camera keeps cutting off. Michael, I'm going to have to get some pointers on how to make this thing hang around for more than 18 minutes. I've just started working with this whole new camera system for presentations and stuff like that. But anyway, so this is Imogen Heap. I did this for Sony UK out of London, and that's kind of my stuff, is just creating environments, creating lighting, creating all these type of things when you have to be, it's almost kind of like a combination of advertising and a little bit of music, where you kind of, think this stuff out, you draw sketches, that type of thing before you ever shoot. Pre-visualization is huge in our industry. And it'll be everything from something like for ESPN, the magazine, to music magazines, Ludacris I believe that was for The Source. But then it'll turn around and be like right next to, Ludacris is Tom Brokaw. Like, that's so weird that it would go from those two places. So you've got, all types of stuff you can see when I'm flipping past, and, music photography and things like that. And sometimes you're able to add, older processes into newer processes. I was obsessed. A lot of this stuff actually follows my obsessions. I'm obsessed with the circus, was for the longest time, and followed them around for a couple of years shooting that work. And was interested in that. So you can kind of see, like, that was my thing for a while. And the biggest thing about growing and learning with lighting is also, one of my weaknesses back in the day was just the anticipation of movement. It was a very, it wasn't easy to figure that out, especially with action. So I trained with sports photography to kind of learn a lot of that stuff. And so that's kind of my history with photography. That's where I've come from. And for those of you that know me, like George and some of our other esteemed Evenings with the Masters photographers that are on here, just like present day, I've started kind of trying new things. And one of the things I've tried is just more either street or, I don't know what you call it really. I mean, my goal is to exhibit, and that's kind of what's coming up for me. I've got, like a lot of you guys have coming up, as exhibits and things like that. And it seems like the goal, Nevada, is like January for just about everything. Nobody wants to do anything until January. And that's kind of what's happening for me too. And one of the interesting things that's come up for me is there's been some people that have kind of showed interest in producing some shows with me. I want to do a show that's going to be a docu-series on photographers and their build. And it started with, some of you know that I have a podcast called The Photo and Taken. And that is now starting to grow towards possibly a mini docu-series that we're going to pitch to Netflix and stuff like that. So a lot of different things are on the back burner, but like I've started doing more of this type of work, and there's going to be an immersive exhibit coming up. That's going to be like a digital exhibit. Have you guys seen the Van Gogh exhibit that's been traveling around the United States? It's going to be similar to that. And so the big thing that we're having meetings about right now is, do you shoot something that's going to be just for the immersive exhibit, or do you show existing work? So that's kind of what I'm working through right now with the producers. So here's some, the type of stuff that I've been shooting over the last, and when you guys first met me on Evenings with the Masters, I was in Norway, if you remember, and I've never showed this stuff to anybody. This is some of the work in Norway when I was in Norway last year and a half. And it's funny because, you try all these different things out, you do lighting, you do commercial stuff, and then you try your hat at something that's completely not something that you grew up with. And I really like it. This is a lot of fun. So, yeah, that's it. And then, coming up, I believe the second week of November, I am going to teach a course on lighting with Nobechi Creative. And we're going to just go through some of the things that you have to think about. And one of the things you have to think about when you're lighting for commercial work or whatever, you have to think about, you can't throw the same 3 types of lighting towards every single thing that you're doing. And the course is going to be called Lighting with Purpose. And that's kind of what this is about. You have to kind of take that into consideration that, sometimes even down to face shape, you've got to think about that type of stuff in commercial photography. So lighting kind of freaks a lot of people out. It does, when you're used to ambient light and that's kind of what you work with and that's where you stay. Commercial light, meaning, strobe and this little HDMI panel that's right here with this little accent light coming over from over here. A lot of the stuff people don't want to tackle it. They don't want to approach it because it's terrifying to them, and it doesn't have to be. You can still find your voice. You can still find, who you are as a photographer with lighting, because I think a lot of us sometimes just don't want to impose our will onto the subject, onto the scene. And sometimes it's just not about that. It's really about finding the beauty in life and the beauty in each person. And that's kind of what I've always been really excited about, is just trying to find the beauty in the light and things like that, because you can either work with what's existing or you can create it and have your own environment. And I kind of like both, honestly. Sometimes, and honestly, I'll start out, if I can't beat what I call, ambient light or God's light, I won't even try. So that's kind of, if I can't beat it, I'm not going to try it. And so that's, what I do. But, from when there's nothing there, when there's nothing that exists, you have to create this from nothing. And that's kind of what lighting helps you with. And one of the things that I love about it is it kind of, I think it's not everything about your value, but I think it also increases your value as a photographer. A lot of times when you can tackle and have lighting to, light your way out of a paper bag or light your way out of a tough situation. And if you've got that into your, your house of tricks, I think that's not a bad thing to have. And that's kind of why I decided to teach this course specifically, just so that, we can tackle some of the things that we're afraid of.